To Heal the World show. Permelia Parham here. I am the founder and the CEO of the Healing Institute. And the Heal the World show is brought to you by the Healing Institute, which is a virtual global hub for holistic practitioners. And for the month of November, we are talking about anxiety. So I just want anyone who wants to pop on and ask some questions about anxiety, you are welcome to do that. We are just waiting for our co-host here, and she hasn't quite arrived yet. So I'm really happy for the people that have shown up today, because we are talking about overcoming anxiety and how we can do that. So I want to say hello to Marie and to Jackie and Carrie. Yes, you are in the chat, but I need you in the studio, my dear. So I just sent you the studio link on through LinkedIn. So if you can hop in the studio, we definitely want to talk about how you help people overcome anxiety. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about the Heal the World show and the Healing Institute. So as I mentioned, we are a virtual global hub of holistic practitioners, and we are out to heal the world. So I truly believe that that is what is required and what is needed. The practitioners in our hub are all wonderful, fantastic people, and the modalities that they offer really get to the root cause of what is going on with people. So I'm just going to let Carrie in from the back room, the green room. There she is. Yay!
Hey, Permelia, you gotta love me and technology. I just laugh it through because that's all I can do.
It's all right. It's quite all right. I was like, where is she? I've sent her the studio link, but anyway, this is good. You're here now.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
just
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I can't think of a more fitting way to make an entrance on the topic of anxiety, because so often people get really anxious when they're running late or behind, or things don't happen as it's meant to. And I use that as an opportunity to really center myself and ground into what is, rather than what I expect it to be. So it's kind of beautiful.
Yeah, thank you very much. And so we do actually have Jeff in the back room, because I wasn't quite sure where you were. So I asked him to hop on, Jeff, Sarah. So we'll just leave you in the back room for now, Jeff. And but anything that you see in the chat, you can certainly send us as questions. And as I was mentioning that November the topic is anxiety and how to overcome anxiety. So we really want to explore that topic as we're going into the holiday season. And I always tell a little bit of a story about why the Healing Institute is so important, is because of a tragedy that happened to my family. And the tragedy was that my mom died at a very young age, at 61, because of a complication with medication that she had been on for a very long time. And not only was that a tragedy that she died so young, but I was 5 months pregnant with my son at the time. And so she never got to meet her grandchildren. My children didn't ever get to meet their grandmother. And I don't want that happening for anybody else. So I called the Healing Institute an institute for a reason, because I'm really passionate about educating people how to be well and how to stay well. We're all on a health journey. So let's find ways that we can be well and stay well as we are on this journey. And I've used holistic medicine and alternate therapies for well over 20 years. And I don't take any medication at all. I'm just really look after myself. And so I want people to know that that's possible. And we are always looking for having the kinds of information and education that we can find about how to be well and how to stay well. So having said that, welcome, Carrie. Carrie is let me see if I can get this completely right. She's an addiction and mental health recovery coach. And I got to meet her a few weeks ago, and we couldn't stop talking. So I am so delighted to have you here today, Carrie, and talking about how actually this is it. This is how welcoming anxiety can help you grow. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about you and the topic about how anxiety can help us grow.
Yeah. Well, Parmelia, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak and to, share in your community. I feel really privileged and honored. And so, a bit about me, I have been on my own mental wellness journey since I was about 14 and have navigated a myriad of addictions and depression and anxiety through that journey. And so, I am very passionate about tools and strategies that we can learn and incorporate to help us really experience life moment to moment, right? And so you mentioned that I talk about embracing anxiety, and I really do. So I think this is a perfect opportunity to revisit showing up late for this show, right? So often we as humans are conditioned to perform. And what does that mean? That means you need to look a certain way, you need to speak a certain way, you need to align with the expectations of how other people operate. And in doing so, it does cause a lot of angst within you because we're all individuals and we all operate a little bit differently. And so for me, when I start to get anxious about a situation, case in point, getting on this show, I ask myself why I'm starting to feel tightness in my body. What is it that I'm experiencing and why? Right. And so then you're able to examine that from a place of curiosity and what you're
Right.
willing to examine rather than just push away. Right. You didn't see me say, I'm looking anxious. I'm going to jump on. I'm going to pretend that it's all good. And here we go. Right. That doesn't serve me because I'm not learning anything other than I feel like crap while I'm talking to you on this show in front of your audience. But if I ask myself, well, what is it about this experience that I need to learn from and take away from? Then I'm able to address belief systems internally that I'm navigating and either make different choices or take ownership of dropping the ball, forgive myself, and keep it moving. Right. But
Absolutely.
I make a more informed choice.
Absolutely. And, just to talk a little bit about the anxiety that I was starting to feel because you weren't yet in the studio. I don't know. I thought, well, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to talk a little bit. And then I invited Jeff, Sarah to pop on just in case there's something had happened with you and you weren't able to let me know that. So, when we've got tools in our toolbox where we can actually address what is happening. And as soon as I started talking and we went live, and then I saw that you were in the chat, and I'm like, okay, well, I know where she is now. So
Well,
it's,
yeah, but think
it's all
about
good.
it. You're able to ground through that experience, right? I think anxiety gives us an opportunity to also show ourselves that we have the ability to be resilient, that we have the ability to navigate uncertainty and unexpected. And so often, I really believe that humans are conditioned to believe that we're in control. And we're not, as we so often are
It's one of our
reminded.
first lessons to learn, right? We are really
Yeah.
not in control. Exactly.
And yet, how many people truly believe that they're in control?
Or they
And
can
that,
control the situation.
yeah,
That I think brings on a lot of anxiety when you are trying to control a situation that is out of your control.
yeah,
So I just had a conversation with a group of ladies yesterday afternoon, and I said, one of the things to do for your self-care is to just control what you can control, and what you can't control, then just let that go. So we're going to just take a few minutes to say hello to a few people who have joined us today. So Marie Piplovic is here. She's one of our practitioners from the Healing Institute. Thank you, Marie. She's always very supportive of us. And Ingrid Midnight is here. She says, good morning, everyone. Ingrid is our admin. Oh my gosh, we cannot live without Ingrid. She's amazing. And a wonderful woman who actually lives here on Vancouver Island, where I live. We haven't yet met in person, but that's the plan. Cindy DeJogger, she has the Opal Rising magazine. So please reach out to her. It's an online magazine on wellness.
Love
So
that.
she's saying, good morning from beautiful British Columbia, beautiful Vancouver Island. And yes, Ingrid's agreeing with you, Carrie. Absolutely, Carrie, very true. Whatever it was that you said. Maria Balanek, thank you for joining us today, Maria. It's good to see you. And everybody's all welcome. Jeff is here. Oh, he's so sweet. He says two of his favorite people in the same place. And also, support system is so important, and not being caught in the spiral of panic. Shifting in the moment is a very underrated skill. It definitely is. And Marissa's seeing others move through their feelings of anxiety, like you both did, gives us all permission to welcome, learn, and forgive self. So, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So,
welcome everybody. I'm happy to be part of your little community today.
well, we're delighted to have you here. So let's talk a little bit about some of your clients. Our audience likes to know from a holistic practitioner, and I know you are a recovery coach, a coach. I kind of call everybody a practitioner, a holistic practitioner, but our audience likes to know what some of your clients have benefited, some of the results that they've benefited from working with you.
Yeah. I think the greatest gift that one can achieve in working with me, or really any holistic practitioner who is there as a witness, is to learn who they are, really.
Mhm.
Because, again, I think more people than not are operating from belief systems and conditions that they've never even really been able to examine to question whether they served them in the first place. And so, working with me, not only do I start to teach people how to incorporate strategies and tools into their daily rhythms of life that help them ground into this very moment, but I give them permission to get curious, to release that belief that they need to sit in shame and guilt. And then, as a result, they start to become more in tune with what really serves them individually, rather than what the performance they think that they need to have to
Or
appease the external world.
or what they didn't do that they think they should have done, or society or parents or whatever, whoever has been telling them that they think that they should do this. I love that, because then people can just really get to their core values of who they are, even if even if they don't know yet what that is. But as we're working with you, I see where people will be able to then kind of get rid of all those layers that aren't serving, and then just really be able to hone in on exactly what is going on with that person. And we're all here to be joyful. I mean, I truly believe that we're not put on earth to be miserable and unhappy. So we are here to be joyful. So let's find what that might be in our own selves. And it's not always an easy job, right? It's a journey, like we all keep saying. And sometimes you have to do the work. You have to
Yeah.
actually do the examination.
I
Right?
love that you said that. My tagline is I got you like a fish to help you feel to heal. And a lot of people are turned off by that. But the reality is you have to recognize that to examine your conditioned mind is going to be really difficult. It just is, because now you have to look at why you respond, why you react emotionally to certain things in every facet of your life. And that can be really scary, you know? And then additionally, to your point, it's work. It is work. And I tell people, I am not the coach for you if you're not willing to dig in and take action. Because the reality is you can analyze and ruminate until the cows come home. But until you actually put one foot in front of the other and start to experiment and really learn what feels right for you personally, it really, you never actually experience viscerally that freedom of the conditioned mind, that
Yeah.
narrative that we all fall victim to sometimes, right?
Exactly. And as you know, as well, we are conditioned by society, by our parents, by our upbringing, whatever. And when we get to be adults, I love the fact that you are always talking about being curious, because I'm always curious. And I think that's really something that we need to be, because we need to be investigators almost. We need to be looking at, okay, well, if I'm not healthy, if I'm not happy and I'm not healthy, and I something's not quite right with me, or I just don't, there's just something off. Oftentimes that's just a feeling. Then do your research, do your analysis, find out what that is, so that you can be healthy and you can be happy. In the work that I do with the body code and the emotion code, that is looking at those emotions that aren't just stuck in the conscious brain, but also stuck in the subconscious mind. And we're not taught that.
Yeah.
It's not part of our upbringing or our learning. So we have to do that investigation. We have to find out what that is. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely. Yeah, and much to what you said, right? I'm not versed in body code, but the reality is our emotions imprint into our physical body.
They
And
do.
so it manifests differently, where I know exactly when I'm out of alignment because I have a specific area in my body that tenses up. And the moment I come back into alignment, actually burp up that energy. And it's not an audible burp, but it's a pocket release of
Yeah.
energy. And I didn't get there. I didn't even know what I was doing for the first 2 years because I just knew I needed to sit in meditation and feel my feelings. But as you learn yourself, you start to become really in tune with how your body responds to the emotions that you're having in any given moment. And to the point of anxiety, what we resist persists, right? And I
Mhm.
try to tell people all the time, you know, we're taught to push away the anxiety, to, you know, yes, we want to breathe through it, but you want to welcome it. You want to embrace it. You want to ask what it needs so that you can come back to feeling safe. And really, that's all anxiety is. Anxiety is an opportunity to push you past your beliefs that you're able to do something. It helps you grow and expand. Anxiety will present if you're not speaking your authentic truth. So if you're in an experience that doesn't serve you and you're biting your tongue or you're not removing yourself from that experience, so it presents in a myriad of ways. But if you allow yourself to be a witness to that anxiety, the feelings that rise within your body, then your body is going to instinctually let you know what it is you need to do in that moment to nurture yourself. The problem is most people operate from their thinking mind, and so they're conditioned to talk themselves out of what their intuition, what their spirit is calling them to do. And that's really where you get that disconnect. That's where you get physical and mental health issues and
Absolutely.
addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're taught to not feel our feelings. I'm so glad that you said that, because you need to feel those feelings, or that is going to manifest in, I call it dis-ease, and we know what that can create. And certainly with the body code work that I do, all of the emotions are in they're in a chart that Dr. Bradley Nelson created, and there's actually organs and glands that are attached to some of those some of those emotions. So if you don't release those emotions or don't consciously realize that that's what is going on in your body, then those organs can be compromised and imbalanced. And that is what is happening then. And I love the way you talked about when you're feeling out of alignment. And that's another thing we're not taught, is to recognize in our physical body what is going on.
Absolutely.
So we need to sit with that. We need to feel our feelings, just like you said. And then if something's going on in your stomach or your gut or your chest, even tingling in your hands or your arms, whatever is happening physically for you, be aware of what that is. And then find out, again, be more curious and ask questions about how that's relating to what is going on. And it's usually due to some kind of anxiety or feeling that you're not in control, which we already covered, that we really aren't in control. So yeah, absolutely. So do you have some tips that you give your clients on how to reduce their anxiety? I mean, welcoming the anxiety. I love that whole topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Embrace it, welcome it, ask the question, as you mentioned, why are you showing up for me? And so do you have any tips or techniques that you
Yeah, there's a myriad of tips. Obviously, I'm going to defer to, breath, because breath is our life force.
Yeah.
And when you can intentionally breathe and really being mindful of your breath, inhaling deeply and exhaling fully so that your stomach contracts towards your back. If you do that enough, you're automatically calming your nervous system, right? And why is that important? Which I tell people, the reality is our emotional response system is at the back of our brain. Our logical cognitive response system is up here. When we're in anxiety, that slows down the response to allowing us to make informed, thought out decisions. So we're reactionary. And of course, we all see when we act from a place of reaction, we usually don't like the results that we get.
Not necessarily making the best decision.
Exactly. So if you can breathe and calm down your nervous system, now you have the ability to make another choice. And that choice can be anything from giving yourself a hug and just recognizing that you're safe. It can be removing yourself from the situation. And that's another tip that I encourage my clients a lot. I work with a lot of people entrenched in addiction and severe mental health issues. The reality is most people don't jump into addiction because they have really supportive environments, right? They're usually in situations where they're with other people who struggle with addiction, other people who struggle with mental health issues, other people who don't have those tools to communicate effectively. And so I really encourage my clients to start to advocate for their needs by simply removing themselves from the situation. They may not have the skills to communicate clearly that they don't feel they're being respected or they're being served, but they do have the skill to say, right now, this doesn't feel good, and I'm walking out the door. And that's a really big tool that too often most people do not lean into for fear of judgment. But the reality is, I'd rather know peace than worry about what Parmelia thinks about me because I walked out of the room, right?
Yeah. What's going on in your brain or your mind is none of my business, or what you think of me. I think that's the quote.
Yeah.
What you think of me is none of my business.
Absolutely. And so that's really critical. The other thing is moving our body. We have all of these narratives right now, and I have so many thoughts about ADHD, ADD, all of these things. And sure, that may be true, but the reality is our bodies are being called to be confined and not moved often for hours at a time, whether
Too
it's in
often.
school, whether it's in work. And that is so counterproductive to how we've been designed to operate in the world. And so when I worked with business clients, I no longer do that, but I would have them work for 45 minutes and get up and dance, go outside and walk around into take a walk, anything. It really can be anything to just move your body, because in doing so, you're moving the chemicals, you're moving the energy that's within your body, and you're freeing yourself from that anxiety, which then allows you to make more creative, more intuitive decisions that help you work more effectively and actually execute the work um more positively than had you just sat there and grinded it out for eight
Right.
hours, which
Yeah.
again, too often people do.
Yeah. Oh, I love those tips. Those are, and of course, Marie Piplovic, she is our conscious breath facilitator. So she will totally align with what you're saying. Just a couple more things I want to address here. Jeff, of course, said it's a constant reminder to step out of people pleasing and the conditioning of what I think I to be versus who I authentically am. And all thanks to Carrie. Yes, absolutely. Ingrid agrees with us about curiosity brings all kinds of things that we wouldn't have the privilege of exploring if we had ignored them. And there's just so much to learn, and this so is so true. And Marie has got a couple of comments here about she likes the anxiety will present when you are presenting your authentic truth. So when you're not, sorry, I'm not reading that right. So anxiety will present when you're not presenting your authentic truth. She wants to borrow that if she can.
Absolutely. Well, and there's 2 points I want to highlight. One, to Jeff, our authentic self is different moment to moment. And I think that goes to, right, even the beginning of this call, we create this expectation that we need to show up a certain way. And in doing that, you have this idea of how you need to be. But the reality is all our job is just to be moment to moment. And that may be in peace, that may be overcome with anger, that may be overcome with sadness, and those are all healthy experiences as long as you allow it to present itself within that moment and let it go. Because I feel sadness, but it's like gone, it's there,
Yes,
it's gone, because there's no attachment to sadness from the past. And
exactly.
to the other point, with anxiety, it will absolutely present when you're not being your authentic self. It will also present when you are being your authentic self and the world around you is struggling to receive that. And so, somebody had said to me a few weeks ago, real love is being in communion with a partner and having them see the full of you, the full expression of you. And I said, I disagree. I think real love is loving yourself enough to show up authentically in the world, knowing that the world is going to push back at you, and it
Mhm.
will. And that will cause angst, because your conditioned self is going to kick up and say, oh, you did a bad thing. But your internal narrative, that trust, that love that you have for yourself, is going to come back and say, nope, you just showed up in bravery. You just showed up in compassion for yourself, and you were true to what you knew in that moment. And then you celebrate that.
Absolutely, for sure. Because we do know the world is going to give us pushback. And so we do need to then be able to embrace who we are and our authentic selves, and then how we can put things in place so that we can deal with all of the chaos that's going on in the world. And that's what's so important about the self-care that I know we all talk about,
Yeah.
is doing those things like doing a breath meditation, doing a yoga meditation, whatever it is, whatever your practice is. And I use that word practice because we are in that society of thinking it's a quick fix, and it's not. So it's called practice for a reason. You got to practice it, right?
If I may just add one more tip that I am a
I
strong
would love that.
proponent of:
Yes.
visuals. So I literally am tattooed, covered in tattoos, and some of my tattoos say, feel the fear and do it anyway, to thine own self be true, right? Now, at the time I got them, I didn't realize that. But so often when we're in a heightened state of emotion, when we're starting to spin in our egoic mind, we aren't thinking clearly. And so if you know, being proactive, that our mind operates that way, you can counteract that spin
Mhm,
by
mhm.
creating different visuals. So when you're in anxiety, you look over there and there's a message that says breathe, or you look over here and it's a picture of a sunset because you relate that to peace. And
Yes.
that can be the trigger that says, oh, now I got to lean into breath work because my head is spinning and I don't want to continue this spin.
I love that. Yes, definitely. I'm a very visual person, so visuals work very well, very well for me. Well, believe it or not, we're at the bottom of the hour, and I'm just so delighted that you joined us today. So, just a couple more things. We're going to go back into the chat after the event, and we'll answer any questions, make any other comments. That helps with the LinkedIn algorithm. So and we'll also, I'm going to be replaying the our conversation a little bit later today. So make sure in a day or two you go back in and look again, because even more people will make comments on the replay. So yes, that's what we're going to do. And you know what? We have a big ask. We have a very big ask. We really do want to heal the world, and we really do want to have the people that are available like Carrie. And so that's why we do the Heal the World show every Friday, is because I want to introduce to you these absolutely amazing people that have fabulous practices and modalities that are here to help you. So please pass on this information to anybody you think. And we have a vision of creating a community of health practitioners, and we customize our treatments for you as the client. It's not a cookie cutter one fits all. So please reach out to us. As the Healing Institute, our motto is service with love. And I'm always so excited every week to introduce a new practitioner who is making a big difference in the world. And you got to meet another one today, Carrie Lewis. Thank you so much for attending, Carrie.
Deep appreciation and gratitude, and so much love for all of the comments and the energetic exchange, because that really is powerful, and that alone is how we will heal the world.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Bye for now.